Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the latest episode of the Genesys Cloud Community's Q&A show, the show where we answer your pressing questions in the Genesys Cloud online community. Today, we're tackling the topic that you all chose in our latest contest in the Trivia Tower community. We gave you options to choose from, and the results were fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for participating. It was really close between two topics. The runaway favorite ended up being Agent Assist, but not far behind was outbound email. Good news, we're going to cover both just on different episodes. Today is all about our winner, Agent Assist. We'll follow it up with the outbound conversation. But good news, our friend George, who's been with us since the first episode of this show, is back to do that demo, and then he's going to stick around and answer some tough questions in the community with us. So stick around, going to be a fun episode. Let's get going. George, who better to break in the show's new branding with than you? How are you, my friend?
Doing well, Matt.
We had a poll up in the community where people could vote on what topic they wanted to hear from. But number one was Agent Assist. We've done an episode on this before in the past, not too long ago, a year ago, but you were not surprised. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about why.
I've just been noticing, especially with the work I've been doing lately, that there are some improvements that have been made since that last time we talked about it, and also some upcoming improvements that I thought people would be interested in. So
Cool.
I actually have at least one feature activated in my own organization that's not GA yet, but should be coming out pretty soon.
All right, awesome. Well, I can't wait to learn more about all of that. Let me get out of the way. Do you want to start the demo?
All right, let's get into it. So here I've got just my own little sandbox organization that I play with. And I have Agent Assist set up for not just messaging, which is what we looked at before, but now we also have Agent Assist for voice conversations. So I'll do a little bit of demo of each of those, and then I'll throw in a couple of extra things that you can do coming up soon. So what I'll do is I'll just pull in from the side here, and this is part of our developer tools. You can send test chats, test messages into your own environment. So I've got it set up here to send a web message in, start a message with us, and you'll see, oh, you are special and you're in the queue, and then the agent answers over here. So the agent's now in the chat. Now I'm going to be bringing in little pieces. I got them all set up to copy and paste in. I'm just too lazy to type everything. So one thing you'll see in this Agent Assist section is that when the person asks a question, it goes through and it looks at all of my articles in my knowledge base to try and figure out how to best answer that person's question. Right here, what types of food do you have? So that matches up with what do you have on your menu. Click on the article, copy it to the chat, hit enter, and it pops back over to the guest. Cool. What kind of pizza do you have? So, what kind of pizza? Well, if I go look at the answers that come up, we've got pepperoni, cheese, Hawaiian sausage, meat lovers, margarita. Now, if you notice, there's a little bit of difference between the other screen and this one. This one actually shows it the way it's going to be formatted when it goes to the customer. And as an agent, I don't really like this answer right here because I know that we also have jalapeno pizza. And because I love jalapeno, I need to give some feedback that our menu's not up to date. So I'll click this thumbs down, and you'll see at the end of the conversation what we're going to be able to do with that. I'm still going to copy this into the chat and send it along. Okay, great. Want to know a little bit more here. How about dessert? What's your best dessert? Well, that one happens to be cake, and it's beautiful cake. I love that answer. Now I'm going to copy this over to the chat. Here's a little quirk. This has a beautiful picture in it. Unfortunately, web messaging does not support copying in the pictures. You'll notice there's a little image file link here. And the other unfortunate thing is that I can't just copy and paste this into here. I do have to right click, choose save image as, because this is saved in our assets, and I have to actually save it. Then I'll have to click on the icon here, go find it. There it is, and add it in. So that's just a little quirk right now. Web messaging is text-based, so it cannot just easily add in an inline image. Once I copy and paste it in, you'll see it pop up here in a second. So you can send them. Another thing, person wants to know what's in our salad. I'm being extensive because I want to show you another feature at the very end of this. Your salad, let's go see what the answer was. Oh, hey, look. Got all this wonderful stuff in the salad. Another thing they want to know, they pay with a debit card. So all these articles have been added into our knowledge base in the past. And that's all part of a different lesson on knowledge and articles and that kind of stuff. Okay, bombarding him with a bunch of information. I'll give that one a thumbs up too, because it's got plenty of detail. And they're done. So at this point, I'm going to expand this back out, and I'm going to end this messaging session. Keep in mind that these are asynchronous, so if I end the messaging session here, the other person can actually still send another message. So it's not like it's completely done, it can be reopened. Okay, you'll notice it pops right over to the wrap-up codes. One thing you need to make sure the agents know to do is click back on Agent Assist. And one thing you'll see is that it now has a summary. So this is one of the newer features called auto summarization. And it goes through the whole conversation, pulls out the salient points, and using our AI, figures out basically what the conversation was about. Now, if I'm using Salesforce or something like that to track cases, I can copy this and paste it into Salesforce. I can also click and copy it into the conversation notes, so that it's definitely saved here. I can also go into the wrap-up codes. Now, another thing you'll see, before I click the wrap-up codes, it's important to do this before you click wrap up and finish the conversation. You notice that I've got an opportunity to provide some feedback on the different answers that I got, because I clicked the thumbs up or thumbs down on some of them. So what types of pizza do you have? I click thumbs down, and it gives me an opportunity here to provide feedback. So I can go in, what types of pizza, what's wrong? Well, this is content that's outdated. Now I can add in a comment. I don't have the Enye, but get the idea. What's your best dessert? I gave it a thumbs up on that one. Provide feedback. In this case, it does not give me the options for irrelevant or whatever. It's just love the kid. And I'm a smiley face type agent. So there you go. And can I pay with prepaid? Gave it positive feedback. Anyway, you get the idea. Submitted the feedback, and then go ahead and wrap up the conversation. Okay, from there, as an admin, I can go in and look at those articles. So this is part of that new feature. So under articles, I can look at my knowledge base, which is restaurant, see all the articles that are in there. Quick, by the way, there are some that are labeled FAQ. Those are ones I actually imported from a website, an FAQ website, and configured all of these really quickly as an import. You'll see over here under feedback, some of these have numbers in here. So this one has 0%, what's in your salad. Only one feedback was given, and it was not a positive one. Best dessert, you notice it's got multiple feedbacks. See the analytics, love the cake. See, right there. That's the feedback I just gave. Back to the articles. What type of pizza do you have? That's another one that I gave feedback on. You'll notice that it had a 20%. So it's getting some negative feedback here. Here's the one that I just gave feedback, reason, incorrect content. We also have jalapeno. So all of this can be taken, and right now it's manual, but let's say, okay, we also have jalapeno. I need to edit that article. I can go right over, go into my article here and add in I have to go back and add the NA later, but I've got jalapeno in there. And then I can save it, publish it, and now that feedback has been taken into account and I've updated the article. So it's all pretty slick with the messaging interface, the articles that pop up, the ability to copy and paste them right into the message, and then the agent being able to give that feedback at the end of it, and also the auto summary. One quick note on the auto summary, it's only available for the web messaging right now, not for calls. So when I do the call example, you're going to notice there's no auto summary at the end of it, but they're working on that. So that's messaging. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and in my agent interface, I'm going to get ready and I'll take a call, and we'll look at what Agent Assist looks like when somebody's calling in.
Sure. While you're pulling up what you're about to pull up, George, I had a quick question. What happens in the event of a typo? For instance, an easy one here would be, what if instead of asking for a dessert menu, they ask for a desert menu, right? Is there a way the agent can change the search query, or how does that work?
Yes. And if we wanted to do that, let's say it comes up with no answers. I don't have an example for it right now, but if an agent is in that Agent Assist interface, there is a field where an agent can put in their own question and manually search for an answer. So that can be done on calls, messaging, emails, any of the interaction types which has Agent Assist showing up in that pane. The other thing to keep in mind for the articles is that when you build an article, you put in multiple versions of the question to give the engine a little bit of an idea as to how somebody might ask. I could just type in dessert and it would come up with that same article. Because we have some of that natural language recognition going on in the background. It's smart enough to figure out that, it would probably even figure out that desert is close enough to dessert. It's probably just a typo. But if they ask a question that's completely not in the knowledge base, it would just say, sorry, nothing found. And the agent could try a couple other searches to see if it can figure out what's missing, or also give feedback later on. There's an optimizer feature that you can go through for the knowledge side of things, not part of Agent Assist, but there's an optimizer that lets you see how many questions went unanswered, and then look at those questions and then make sure you put information into your database for those.
Okay, cool.
And it's really cool.
Awesome. Thanks for the tour so far. Looking forward to seeing what you have next.
Yep, now I'm going to try placing a call in. Hi, I'm looking for some help with your menu. So you notice I said I'm asking for some help with your menu. It does pop up the help right here. You notice it still has that option for me as an agent to give some feedback. So that's really good. That's the coming feature. Currently, there is the option to give a thumb up or thumb down in the product, but you don't get the ability to add feedback at the end of the conversation. Because it's a call, obviously I can't just copy paste it in. There's no text to speech that's going to read it off to them. But as an agent, I just look at it and say, oh, yeah, we got pizza, salad, and dessert. What kind of dessert do you have? And what do you have for salad? I'm just wondering, can I use my debit card to pay? Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you. So, yeah, it does not have the auto summarization, like I mentioned. That's something that's still coming for voice. We were just talking about how somebody may say something or type something that's not quite exactly what's in the article. Well, you heard my question about, I'm just wondering, can I pay with a debit card? That does not match this question by any shape or form directly, but our recognition said, oh, he must have asked about paying with a card of some kind, right? So it pulled up that article. From here,
and on this, I can see where the agent can type whatever question they have also, if they're looking for a different article.
That's true. I forgot to show you that part. So, what does your pizza look like? Well, There's a question there, and look, beautiful pizza. Marguerite,
Beautiful is in the eye of the
pepperoni.
beholder, I guess.
I know. I like the Marguerite a little bit better than
Yeah, it definitely
the
looks
pepperoni there. Anyhow, so yes, you can type it in and pull it up from there. So those were the main things I wanted to show regarding the newer version of Agent Assist. And then, like I said, that agent feedback piece, which is coming soon. If you look it up in the Resource Center, it'll just say feature coming soon and describe it. And with everything, you need to make sure that you have the right licensing. There's the transcription that was going on for that Agent Assist, and it's a near time transcription. Basically, people may ask, well, how does it know when to actually throw a transcription in there? How long does it take? I think right now, last I asked, they have a 2000 millisecond delay. So if it senses that somebody has stopped talking for about 2 seconds, then it will do a transcript and throw it in and go do the article lookups. And then beyond that, if somebody keeps talking for over 20 seconds straight, last I checked, it was 20 seconds that it would cut them off basically and throw a transcription in, presuming that most people are not going to talk for 20 seconds straight without taking a breath for an agent to give an answer. So those are a couple of things that are built into the system, non-adjustable right now. One other thing, if you want to, and if you have it turned on, let me just go show that in the speech and text analytics settings. Start typing speech. In here, there's an option that says low latency transcription. I have it enabled on mine. So I've got this turned on, and with this, if I'm listening for WebSocket notifications or EventBridge notifications, there is a whole transcription notification that gets sent out. So every time you're seeing something pop up in Agent Assist, you can also be getting that through your EventBridge interface or through a WebSocket and be tracking it near real time. I've had customers that really love that part, so they could suck the transcript almost real time into their own back-end applications, and they're doing their own sentiment analysis and all kinds of stuff in their own back ends instead of using all hours, taking actions in the background, if you will, based upon what the transcripts are saying to their own systems. So it's a lot of functionality that's built into this.
George, thanks so much for that demo. I really appreciate it. Hope everybody learned something. Now, I just got an instant notification. There are questions in the community that need urgent help. It's time to assemble our A team and get in there and try to answer a few of these. All right, everybody. Dean, George, thank you so much for signing on to answer some tough questions in the community. As you know, these questions are nearly impossible to answer. As such, they've been sitting on the community forum for a little while, some longer than others, but we're going to take our best shot at answering them with your years and years of expertise. So let's get started. We're going to start with this first question from Melanie. Melanie wants to know about using date expressions for the holiday. She writes, hello, I'm using the template for holiday routing available from the Resource Center, and she linked to it. Thank you for that. I'm having trouble figuring out what expression to use in the holiday variable. The first variable, I believe, is point to today's date, and the second is looking for the holiday date, but the expression is that variable is not pre-filled. Anyone have any experience with this?
I was taking a look at that just to refresh my brain, pulled up the example in my own system here, and I was looking at the flow date today, which was mentioned in the question. So for that expression, you're just taking the UTC time, subtracting 5. This one's based in US East, so Eastern time zone, Eastern Standard Time, -5 from UTC. And then the second variable that's being assigned, which is being asked about here, just making a list or a collection, 101, 704, 1225. Again, this is designed around the US. So 101 is January 1st, first month, first day. 704, July 4th, 7th month, 4th day, and 1225, Christmas Day. So they just took integer values and put them in there. And then down here in this decision, they're using those values to actually do a date comparison. So find first in flow.holidays.month, and then flow.date today times 100. Basically, it's taking that flow.holidays and it's comparing that value, the 101, for example, and it's saying, does the month from date to day, so let's say the call comes in and it is July, then the date today would have a month of 7 based upon that month flow date today. And it's saying, look in that flow holidays, see if there is a value in there that matches 7. And in the case of 704, it would match. And then you multiply by 100 plus day from flow.date today. Okay, so that value is 700 plus the flow.date today, not equal to -1. And all it's doing is if it does not find a match in here, it's not going to have a value greater than -1.
Okay, cool. If
It's
she
not find a match.
Oops,
So
sorry.
really, it's just you take the month and then the day of the month, put them in there, and then this example is going to figure out if the current month matches one of the ones that's in the value there. Kind of simple.
Cool. If she needs any help writing out that formula, what would you recommend they look up?
Look at some of the stuff. We got the find first. You'd understand what that means. So as far as the help, you've got expression help, and over here you can say find first, look it up, see how it works. And you're looking at a collection. So within that collection, you're finding the first value that has something that matches that second part, which is month of flow.date today. So you got to compare, figure out what that means. Month is you're pulling out an integer value for the month part of a date value. So the big key here is it's an integer. So you're matching this find first of this collection with that value, which is pulling out an integer value from a date.
Okay, cool.
And work from there. The rest of it is basically math.
Sure. Cool. Well, thanks, George. Thanks for answering that. Melanie, we certainly hope that helps. And I'm not sure if you'd seen that expression help before, but that looks like a pretty cool tool that you could get lost in. And I hope you have fun. Let's go.
I do need to make, sorry, Matt, I do need to make one more comment there.
Yeah, sure.
If you are in a non-US location, then you need to make sure you're matching this up with whatever your date time format is in. Because if you're using a European date time format, then of course it is day then month, not month then day. There are a few things you're going to have to change around to make sure it all matches up. And then also that first value under this flow date today, you got to make sure you put your actual correction in for your time zone, not for Eastern time zone. So there are just a couple of things you need to change around in there to make this work for whatever your location is.
This next question is one that Dean picked out, and it comes to us from Jennifer. Jennifer's a new member. Welcome. Jennifer writes, hi. The preferred name attribute in person details that was referenced in last week's release, should an admin expect to see that attribute in the personal details UI by default, even if it is unpopulated? I'm not able to see it. She does say update, agent preferred name is via the public API. Sounds like she kind of answered her own question, but I understand, Dean, you have some additional information to share. So what do you think? Any advice for Jennifer?
Sure. Well, so the answer is no. It doesn't display by default, but it will display once you've added that variable, or once you've added that attribute. Excuse me. So this is the update from January 31st that we're referring to, and it's under the Open Platform section, update agent preferred name via public API. So basically they're just saying, hey, this new attribute for users is available, and this is where you can go get it if you wish to use the API. In most admins cases, they will probably just want to use the UI on the administrative portal. So here you can see this is a test user that I have in my org, and I added a preferred name for her of Bev through the public API just to see where it would show up, and it shows up in the agent container of the user. If you wanted to do this just via the UI, the administrative UI, you could come back over here to people and select one of your users you wanted to add. We'll just pick Mark, and I'll go over to person details and go into edit mode. Shut that off. So we'll just go to edit Mark, and when you go to edit them, you get an option here for add new section, and the user attributes have a whole lot of different little containers or sections that you can add additional information into. This one falls into the agent section. So if you select that, you get that same little section pops up, and you can go edit it, and we'll just say Mark, because that's what you would call somebody with that name. And we'll save it. And then now when you go back, now that it's been added, if we go back and we select Mark again, you'll see that information under his name.
Quick question for you, Dean. I saw you added that widget. So does that widget now show up on every person's profile, or would you have to go through one by one and add it? How does implementing this work, at scale?
So, I mean, it depends upon the use case and the size of the organization. Obviously, if you have 20 or 30 users, it's a little bit different than if you have 2,000 users. So I tend to think of things like this from a programmatic perspective. So maybe they're doing a skim process, and there's a preferred name attribute in the provider that they're using, and they want to match that up on the update. This makes that field available, so that they can have a one-to-one relationship between the attribute of the environment that's providing all this data to Genesys Cloud. If it's just 100 people or 50 people, I mean, you're just doing them one-off, you would just use the UI.
Okay, gotcha.
So the answer is no, it doesn't appear unless you add it in there.
All right, cool. This is going to be our last question with Dean. It comes to us from a partner who has a question about talk to agent system intent. The partner is Nuno, and he writes, "Hi community. There is any possibility of configuration or workaround to add more intents in system? The scenario is in bot flow, Genesys have possibility to ask to talk with an agent in every part of the flow, but in PTPT, which George and I interpret as Portugal, right, George? We have a lot of expressions to ask. So does anyone know if there is any possibility to add more expressions in the system to this answer?" And just so everybody knows, this answer has been a collaborative effort between Dean and George, but a lot of good information is about to come out.
So I think the opportunity here is basically to add a custom entry into your organization's dictionary that fits your specific use case, and the way to do that again would be via the API for the dictionary. So it falls into the speech and text analytics section, and what I did, I just searched on dictionary, and there's a couple in here, and what you can do is obviously observe the ones that you have that are out there already, or you can create new ones based on your use case. So what I did earlier is I went ahead and I created one, And if I run this request right here, you can see what I created. And essentially the term that I created the entry for is called representative. And I created it in dialect English US. And the source is manual, that's the only option. And then what it did is, this is just the ID of the actual dictionary term. And then you also, when you create it, you add phrases to it. And so that's a different endpoint to see what we added. So if I go back over here and I look at a get for the dictionary feedback ID, I think I've already run it. Yep. So that's the ID that I had fetched earlier. If we take a look at that, what we'll see are the phrases that I added for this term. So, can I speak to a representative, please? I would like to speak to a representative, and so on. And obviously, this is a pretty simplistic one. The guidance is you need at least 3, so I added 3, and up to 20 by term. So, I think this is probably the first place I would start for that request, and see how that plays out.
Dean, George, thank you guys so much for being here. We'll look forward to having you, because you're going to be back on our next episode where Maxim does a demo and we'll get to answer some more questions in the community. So guys, thanks so much for taking the time to answer these questions, and I'll see you here in a couple of weeks. All right, everyone, that concludes this week's episode. We'll be back in a couple of weeks because we want to get back to that other topic that came up, the one about outbound campaigns. So look forward to that in a couple of weeks, and I hope to see you in the community. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.